Hey, welcome everybody to the Power of Your Voice podcast. And I'm your host, Mike Murphy. And I just want to say thank you. You know, we started this early 2023. We started out with law of attraction, manifestation, based mostly on my book, The Creation Frequency, in my online course. And then as we got more momentum in building our healing retreat center here in Medellin, Colombia, called Mountains of Hope, we started transitioning more into health and wellness and sharing content that will help you become stronger and healthier and happier and more fit and stronger. And so tonight's show, we're just going to give you a little compilation of all the best excerpts of the past 7-8 months or so, because next week we're going to start switching gears and really put our focus on Mountains of Hope, as our grand opening is right around the corner, January 6th. And I invite you to go to our website, www.mountainsofhope.com. I promise you, I don't think there's a retreat center like this anywhere in the world. The beauty and what we offer, and then our signature retreat, which is a 2-week physical detox. Well, we give you great nutrition. We grow over 50 vegetables on site. And we also really show you how to eliminate stress out of your body and how to heal childhood trauma and how to rewire your neural pathways and replace bad habits with good habits. So we're super excited of what we've created. And if you're interested, if you want to lose some weight, if you need more energy, if you have a health diagnosis that you just can't get rid of, and you want to learn how to heal yourself or go within and find answers, we're giving a 20% discount for the first retreat, January 6th of 2024. So go to mountainsofhope.com, check it out. It's a great value, I promise you, and you will not be disappointed. So I hope to see you then, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Mike Murphy. I'm also the author of the book, The Creation Frequency, and founder of Mountains of Hope, a transformational healing retreat center in Medellin, Colombia. Each week in this podcast, we bring you the most amazing guests and powerful content that will inform you how you too can learn to use your own powerful voice to manifest optimal health, wealth, and transformation that you desire and deserve.
The meditation I do is one of Vision's meditation, the 6-step meditation. That's the one that I do the most.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I also have a training from him, which is to become extraordinary. And he has like many meditation techniques there, so that's the ones I use, like to connect with my intuition, to manifest, to like receive guidance.
So let's talk about manifestation. I actually wrote a book about it.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And so what's your technique with manifestation? How do you see that process, and how do you make it work in your life?
Okay, so manifesting is, how can I explain this? I mean, I'm still like
first you
learning.
have to determine what you want to manifest, right?
Yes, you need to have clarity.
Yes.
For sure.
Crystal clarity. And it needs to come from the heart, not the mind, right? So now we start with this.
It's gotta be an emotion.
Exactly.
It's gotta be an emotion.
It's a thought and an emotion. So it's the thought is the frequency that goes into the field of infinite possibilities, and is the emotion that brings it back to you fulfilled.
Yeah, it is like a frequency.
Yes.
Know?
Yes.
It's like one part is like electricity, and
yes.
the other part is
magnetic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it kind of works like that. So I mean, I don't want to go into the details on how I like meditate and stuff.
That's okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's like getting in tune with what is that I want, right? And then like the meditation I do is one of Vision's meditation, the 6-step meditation. That's the one that I do the most.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I also have a training from him, which is to become extraordinary. And he has like many meditation techniques there, so that's the ones I use, like to connect with my intuition, to manifest, to like receive guidance.
So let's talk about manifestation. I actually wrote a book about it.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And so what's your technique with manifestation? How do you see that process, and how do you make it work in your life?
Okay, so manifesting is, how can I explain this? I mean, I'm still like
First you
learning.
have to determine what you want to manifest,
Yes,
right?
yes, you need to have clarity.
Yes.
For sure.
Crystal clarity.
Crystal clarity.
And it needs to come from the heart, not the mind, right? So now we start
There's
with this.
gotta be an emotion.
Exactly.
There's gotta be an emotion
It's
with
a
that.
thought and an emotion. So it's the thought is the frequency that goes into the field of infinite possibilities, and is the emotion that brings it back to you fulfilled.
Yeah, it is like a frequency. you
Yes,
know?
yes.
It's like one part is like electricity, and
Yes.
the other part is
Magnetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it kind of works like that. So I mean, I don't want to go into the details on how I like meditate and
That's
stuff.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's like getting in tune with what is that I want, right? And then like really feel the emotions of that. For instance, I'm gonna tell you something I want to manifest. So it's gonna be much easier to explain that
Please.
way. I want to run. One of my biggest dreams right now is to run the New York Marathon.
Wow. Are you a
And-
runner right now?
I'm starting.
Okay.
I'm starting.
So your goal is to run the New York Marathon?
Yes.
Okay. That's your intention.
And I want to take my dad on a holiday with me to New York because he's never been there. It's his dream to New York.
And there's the emotional charge
Yes.
too, right? That's
Yes.
the power. I hope you guys are getting this, okay? The goal, the intention is to run the marathon, but the emotion, the why, the big why, the emotional juice that makes it going to make it happen for her, she's going to take her father who's never been to New York, right?
Yes. And I want to see my father there waiting for me on the finish line.
Oh, taking a picture.
Yes. That's the big emotional part. Like I think about that and I feel like crying of happiness picturing that moment.
And now you become a better, more powerful creator because you're connected and you're conscious and you're aware and you're awake, and because we all are connected. You bring up the word resistance a lot. Can you elaborate a little bit or give an example and then elaborate and how to undo it and embrace it and dissolve it?
Yeah, it's again that the mind loves to know things. It's a tool designed to know things. So it looks at your life, your entire life, and creates a plan and wants to control everything so that you get your desired outcome. And the plan that your mind can create is just projection. It can never anticipate everything that's possible.
Right.
All the different permutations and different energies at work are far greater than the mind can ever imagine.
Yeah.
So as a result, when life then actually happens, and it happens differently, we compare it to this mental projection, then we're in resistance. No, we want it to happen this way and that way, and we're kind of steering and controlling life. And life is not meant to be steered and controlled. It's meant to be allowed to unfold. So we have to let go and come out of our head and just really learn to flow with it.
Have you read the book, The Surrender Experiment?
Yes, yes.
I mean, to me, that says it all, right? And every time I think about what you just said, I just imagine myself jumping into a lazy river of life and letting it take me where it's supposed to take me. Of course, I'm going to have desires from my heart and I'm going to create intentions, and they're going to be specific, but they're also going to be very flexible. Because who knows what's going to show up? Who knows what's really best? And so that's why meditation to me is so important, to get out of this belief system, get out of this body, go into this field of infinite possibilities and figure it out there and then bring it back to here. What do you say about that?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. It's people ask me, well, Chris, if you're just kind of letting things unfold, are you just floating aimlessly through life? And no, that's not it at all. You start to, as you respond to what resonates and let that be your GPS, then a direction starts to emerge. And then from that direction, you see your path unfold, and suddenly there's a bigger picture and you go, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And so you're letting life show you where you're supposed to go.
Yeah, we're in Medellin, Colombia right now, and we're creating the most amazing 2-week transformational health retreat in the history of mankind. But it evolves every day because we're co-creating it with the creator of all. We're co-creating it with a great team. And so we have this powerful intention, but it keeps evolving and becoming bigger and better because we're open to that. There's no ego attached to it. We want to create the best product to serve others, right? So that's our mandate. The best product to serve others so that they can have transformation that lasts and healing that lasts. That's our mandate. But the beauty of it is letting go. That's the vision, but that could change too. We're not locked into anything. We don't know what's going to show up. And that's the beauty of manifestation. We're going to get, you talk about manifestation in your book, we'll get to that in a minute. But on page, let me see what page this is. On page 20, you brought in your inner Eckhart because you wrote, reality isn't real until it is. Elaborate.
Right. Well, we cannot imagine the detail of what a situation really is like until we get there. And the mind likes to, look for the next unknown moment and fill it with just something, right? Some pure projection, just so it feels at peace of knowing. But that's because we're living through the mental lens. We really have to come out of that and allow each situation to arise. Personally, I had this experience, before I really started to awaken to all this wisdom, where I was consulting and I had a lot of projects on my plate, and I just took on too much probably. And the anticipation of the next meeting and the next meeting, I was driving down La Cienega in Los Angeles, and I was starting to near panic attack. There was something in me that suddenly just let go and surrendered, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to handle it when I show up and just deal with what's there. And suddenly all this weight came off, and suddenly I felt like I could take on twice as many projects.
Yeah.
So the steering, controlling mind, again, it puts so much pressure on us and so much weight that we're carrying around with us.
I have a similar story I want to share with the audience. That just last week, I had all this stuff going on, all this stress. I had to be on camera, blah, 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 blah. I didn't sleep well. I didn't feel well. And I said, hey guys, give me 10 minutes. I walked downstairs. I went into nature right by the creek, listened to the water flow, saw the greenness, felt the sun, felt the fresh air, and boom, just total reset. Where I could have just made myself go through it under stress, harm my body, harm my mind, I just reset. And that's the beauty of it. But we got to understand we're in control. We have the option to do that anytime we want.
That's right, yeah.
And yes, there's a lot in your past to be, reconciled, but don't live there, just come back to the present, because that's where you're most resourced. And slowly things will change. And so from there, I started really building a relationship with mindfulness for the next 6 months. And then the word honesty, it really was there. It was like, okay, I need to try. But if I told you, from that point on, I walked out of her office and I was honest. And I was like, no, everything takes an integration period.
Exactly.
It takes time to integrate these things. And that's where the meditation really, really, really started taking off, because I went from mindfulness, and thankfully, touch wood, my father had an incredible meditation practice, He would just sit in the sun every morning for like an hour, and he'd just sit there. But it was always something my dad did. It was never really something for me.
Right.
And then when all this happened, I started reconnecting to mindfulness. I was like, oh yeah, my dad does it. I've seen an archetype of someone doing that every morning, just sitting for like 30, 60 minutes with their eyes closed in the sun. I'm gonna try to do the same thing, just sit there. And when I started sitting there, obviously your mind, now when I look at meditation, mindfulness is an opportunity to sit back and go, how many tabs are open in my mind?
Yeah.
And you just look at the tabs on the browser.
Yeah.
Meditation is an opportunity to defrag the hard drive.
Yeah.
Right? So it goes into what files were open, whoa. And then when you're present, because you don't really get to stillness until you start spending some time just observing, and your brain will go, oh, remember that thought? And you go, okay, come back.
Yeah.
Remember that thought? And then you're like, oh, come back. But all that stuff is getting defragged.
Yep.
And what would often get defragged was like, oh, I was meant to be honest and I was dishonest and such and such. I was meant to be honest. And those are the thoughts that would come up because I was harboring. Intentional living is what the Inspired Evolution is all about. An intention, right? And so the intention was honesty. And what was coming up again and again when I was looking within was like, oh, you weren't honest here, you weren't honest here. But because I was giving myself that awareness, as you become more and more aware of things, you naturally don't want to rub the cat the wrong way, and things start to shift and change. And so that made it easier. The mindfulness really helped with the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And the meditation started to give me the opportunity to install the value of honesty deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into my system as a value.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer because, you talk about being out of different values, different systems. Now I know my values are connection, contribution,
honesty,
and celebration.
And honesty.
Right? Those are my 3 values.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing that, that's the honest expression of me.
Yeah.
I'm connecting, I'm contributing, and I'm celebrating. If it wasn't for that fundamental block of honesty being installed, I wouldn't have been able to go, oh yeah, and what is the honest truth of me finding myself? Because you said before, it's like we're not our truest selves.
Right.
And my truest self is Amrit that connects, Amrit that contributes, Amrit that celebrates. Everything you read out in the bio, public speaking, podcasting, coaching. I'm connecting with people deeply. I'm doing that with you here now. I'm doing that in stages all over the world. I'm doing that in coaching sessions, even via Zoom, connecting. Hopefully I'm contributing. People are hopefully getting some insight into mental health and values and purpose around this conversation. So there's hopefully some sort of contribution that's valuable. I like to think so. But obviously, the ego loves to self-flagellate, so touch wood, which pardon that. And then there's celebration. And that's, for me, that's health, vitality. That's what the meaning of life is for me.
What's your process of manifestation?
Well, I use the Akashic records.
Okay. Well, let's go into that. I really have a question for you there. Okay, I'm glad you went there with that. I read a long time ago, Deepak Chopra. He's in India, and they go into a store where they can tell you your past. Okay, and he goes into the store. It's like a reading, I guess, but they go into the back and they pull out a piece of plant. I forget what it's called, and then it's written. His entire history has been written down. Who he was married, who he was going to marry, kids he was going to have, when he's going to die, is already written down. Explain.
Yes, it's called your Akashic record, and everything is literally recorded. And so your Akashic record is like an energetic database, if you will. And it
but
holds all
how
the
did
information
how did this get written down? What I did some research. It seems like there's these yogis or these great spiritual masters that would sit and meditate, and they could see this, and then they would record it. I mean, that's mind blowing to me.
Esoterically, I believe.
Yeah.
And energetically, and it can be accessed intuitively, and then perhaps you see it, if you will, that way. Through your third eye. That's how I
perfect.
do it. But it can be accessed, and it holds all the information about your gifts, your strengths, your attributes, because you are meant to be happy, joyful, and abundant while you're here, but you must choose it because we're blessed or cursed, sometimes it seems, with free will. And so you must choose it. And sometimes our gifts aren't naturally what we think they are, obviously.
Yes.
And it also holds your karma, which is the energy of those choices that you've made in past lives, which did not serve your soul growth and your higher good. And your karma is highly individual to you. It's not about what's done to you, because that's the other person's karma. It's how you respond to what's been done to you. And if you make a negative choice, which is non-judgmental, like fear, anxiety, to play small, to not speak your truth, or to be angry, to be a victim, all of those classic archetypes that we think of. And if you choose those, which is your free will, it doesn't serve you, and it will continue, because laws of karma kick in and say it will persist until balanced out by new choice, no matter how many lifetimes that's going to take. So you will come in with similar energies or similar circumstances that feel like the original karma to try again. So that ends up being all the repeating patterns that you can't seem to change, right? Your money problems, your health problems, even relationship challenges, drama, all of that over and over and over. And it's all on subconscious. You said earlier that we just don't really bring awareness. We don't ask why. And so one of the things that I teach in my online course, which I just put out on how to access and read your own Akashic record, is to balance yourself, again, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it has to do with bringing awareness. Like, why am I thinking these things? Why do I still have this trigger? How do I release this trigger? I no longer need this. It's no longer serving me. And that's why it can be so difficult, because it's really self-introspection that a lot of us don't want to do. It's easier to say it's happening to me, or someone else is doing this to me, or the world's against me, and
Well, today's world, it's easier to scroll down Instagram for an hour or watch Netflix for all day, right? And that we've lost our connection to our soul, I think, and we need to reconnect and realize we're not here to watch Netflix and post on Facebook. We're here to evolve and to grow and to create and to make this place better than what we found it. And I find when we have that purpose, life gets a lot richer and deeper.
I absolutely agree on all counts.
I want to ask you this. While you were talking, and you mentioned, we might make a decision based on fear. And so when we come to this, I'm just curious, I'm throw something crazy out there. I'm just curious your opinion. So here I am, I got to make a decision. So I can make a fear-based decision, or I can make a love-based decision. And people talk about parallel universes. So for example, okay, I make this fear-based decision, but in another universe somewhere, this love-based decision is playing out. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, parallel lives. Yes, that is a real thing, and it can affect you deeply. Yes, and that's the concept of multiple timelines, and there is a choice playing out that's taking energy.
Yes.
So oftentimes what I will do is part of my own clearing process, and you can even ask this. I mean, you're in charge. When you're in a physical body, you are in charge.
Yeah. But let me just add, because we're not the physical body, and we're not the thoughts. We are eternal, timeless consciousness. We are spirit. We are soul. We are energy. That's why. But we forget, and pretty soon the body's in charge, and that we're over here doing this stuff, or the crazy mind is in charge, and we're over here doing this stuff. We got to realize who we really are.
Yes, that's having ego in charge versus having soul in charge.
Right.
And that's why I always I say live a soul-powered life. When you let your soul lead the way and get ego out of the way. Now, we need ego, right? It does serve a purpose, but we've gotten to the point where we're all ego-based and survival mode.
Yes.
And, it's those love-based decisions that can be tough to make.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it means we have to say no. We have to stop enabling other people, maybe. We have to leave a relationship that's not serving us. We have to leave a career and start that beautiful, amazing business. And that's really scary. And we like that stability. We like that predictability of making the same choice over and over again, even if it's not serving us.
Right.
And that's how ego can get in the way, because ego, it wants to keep you safe, right? Well, quote, keeping you safe means staying in the same pattern, because something new is scary and unpredictable.
Right. Yeah. And then Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and one is certainty and one is uncertainty. And so it's balancing that, right? Because if you just stay in certainty, you become a fear-based person, and pretty soon you don't even leave the house. And if you're totally always in uncertainty, there's no balance. You're not grounded, right? And so it's balancing those two, because the uncertainty is taking that leap of faith, saying, hey, I'm gonna step out in a leap of faith that I can do this. And I find the more evolved I become, the more self-realized I become, the more comfortable I become in my skin, then I become more powerful. What's beautiful about all that kind of work is I think that, because if you look at the world, there's some really ugly stuff going on, especially in the States, and I think UK too. And there is a matrix, there is something going on. The Bible calls it apocalypse, perhaps the end times. All that means is lifting of the veil. And so what I'm excited about is all these systems that we're born in, financial, medical, educational, all these systems that try to control us. And what do we want? We want freedom. We want our own sovereignty, right? And so what I'm excited about, all that stuff is breaking, and this new consciousness is rising that you've talked about. And that's what excites me. And I think they got all the power, all the weapons, all the money. Where we're going to win is through love and consciousness and moving from the head to the heart. And once we live here, this is our truth center, this is our bullshit center, but it's a powerful supercomputer if we use it from the heart. What do you say?
Completely right. And that's the interesting bit. We're just so stuck in that matrix and like, this is the only way. And then you realize it's not the only way. And for me, what really was my wake-up call is when my sister passed away.
Yes,
So I helped pass her over. But for me, every time it was like I was picking up the breadcrumbs, and I was just there was a new breadcrumb, and I was going for it.
Yeah.
I got into a lot of sacred medicine, and I did Bufo, and remembered my near-death experience, which then helped my sister pass over. And then a year later, my father, and then 6 months later, my mother committed euthanasia. So I was like, okay, this is what it was like for me.
Wow.
So, you become a death doula. And once you do this kind of work, like, grief is
Change
the
you forever.
biggest teacher.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And it's like, whoa.
I tell
Okay.
people going through great loss, I got good news, bad news. The bad news is your life will never be the same again.
No.
And the good news is if you go through this consciously and awake, you will never be the same again. You will grow miles. And that big hole in your heart, instead of being filled with bitterness, is going to be filled with betterness and love. And once you embrace that, you're never the same, ever.
That's it.
You're tuned in. You're tuned in. And that's
Tuned in.
it's all energy, vibration, and frequency. And I really believe before all this nonsense, and the reason there's pyramids everywhere in the world is I really believe that they had their own system of cell phones using their mind, like you were just saying. And that's why, the 100 monkey thing, right? And they were connected. We're all connected right now. Right here is energy, The Bible calls it ether. Tesla called it plasma. The Chinese call it chi. The Indians call it prana. But this is energy. In fact, Tesla realized it was free energy and we could use it, but there was no way to monetize it, so it didn't work. But such a powerful point. And I always say, Jesus came here with a powerful message, but if mom and dad would have fed him ho-hos and ding-dongs all day, he never would have gotten off the damn couch and went and spread the good news, right? Because we got to treat the whole organism. It's the physical, it's the mental, it's the emotional, it's the spiritual. And we've lost that. Man, it's just so... And let me ask you this. This is my biggest frustration. Almost everybody in America is suffering from something, right? I'll never forget as a kid, teenager or whatever, and Phil Donahue had a pharma executive on. He said, our goal is to have every American on at least 5 medications. And
Wow.
Yes. Okay. I'll never forget as long as I live. And so most Americans are sick. And when I go back there, the obesity is staggering. I mean, and it's because they're not eating real food. So they can't even, the body doesn't even know how to process this junk, right? But
and they stay hungry.
Yeah, exactly. They're starving nutritionally. The cells are saying, feed me. And they go, yeah, okay, here's another Big Mac. Here's another ho-ho.
Right.
Okay. But my problem is, and I went through this myself. I lost my wife and I didn't really care. And even though I was going through things, but how do you get people to care about themselves and their health?
Oh, for me, it goes back to purpose.
Yes.
Like
Thank you.
we all want to make an impact, right?
Yes.
We all, I believe,
Yes.
most of us here think that we want to use this lifetime to make an impact.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the energy to get off your couch,
Right.
you're not going to make a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you want to make an impact even on your children or be around for your grandchildren,
Yeah.
like whatever your driver is, it's like Simon Sinek says, get to your why.
Yeah.
Why do you want energy and vitality? What if you can get to that root driver, you will then have the motivation to turn things around and study and learn what your nutrition actually, what your body actually needs,
Yeah.
how to take care of yourself, how to move your body, how to sit in meditation and honor yourself, right? And how to look at all your greatness and what are your unique set of talents that you can share with the world
Yeah.
and make this place a better place.
Yeah.
So getting to your why of why are you even here?
Yeah.
Like it sounds so simple,
Yeah.
but what do you want to create while you're here? If you only have one life to live, what do you want to create? And a lot of us think that we've got 85 years, we got 90, I'll be here 100 years. You don't know that.
Right. Right.
If you knew you had 5 years left, would you be doing the same thing?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I can't tell you, it's purpose. Because after I lost my wife, I started a nonprofit foundation serving women below the poverty line while battling cancer. And I would give financial grants, right? So the theory would, I'll support you while you go through treatment, then you get back to work and we're good, right? The problem was they got sicker and sicker and died. And I was just throwing money away. I said, okay, now what? So I started buying water purifiers, juicing machines, vegetables. Now they think I'm their doctor, I'm a car salesman. I go, oh, this isn't gonna work, okay. So now I come to Colombia and I'm building this healing retreat center. So we charge people with money and we give scholarships to people like that, or even military guys that no one cares about that are suffering and 25 a day are committing suicide. So they can come here and we teach them how to heal themselves. I really believe that they have all that power. But I've been struggling because I was, you'll relate to this because I read where you used to party a lot, but I was trying to live both worlds, right? And so I was taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Finally, I said, well, then I got really sick. And I said, I have mercury poisoning and a couple other issues. And so, oh man. So now I didn't have the energy to do this. So now I said, okay, forget all that. That's over. Whatever that was, that is now over because my purpose, and I'm 66 years old, how much longer do I have to fulfill this purpose? And so I had to clean up my act, get going, and I've never felt better in my I'm still healing, but I've never felt better in my whole life. Purpose is the thing. Because I've been struggling, and I know for myself, but now I know how to motivate people. They got to find their purpose. Thank you from the bottom of my heart in supporting me in bringing my message of hope, health, and abundance to as many people as possible. Will you please like, subscribe, and share this podcast episode? And I hope one day to meet you at Mountains of Hope, a place for deep healing and transformation.